Jai Prabhuji, hello. We are starting another chapter today on the book Experimenting with the Truth in our course about this book. And the chapter that we are starting today will deal with the topic of religion. We will find in this chapter the two aspects of the religion, the religious phenomenon that Prabhuji talks about, lives and manifests in his own journey, in his own example, in his own life. Prabhuji will talk, as we mentioned in the course presentation, about the authentic religion that we can see again manifesting in Prabhuji's own life and teachings that exist in his books and his lectures. And we will also find the aspect of the institutionalized religion that Prabhuji speaks about, its problematic messages. And that it's absolutely, totally different, opposite than the authentic religious phenomenon. So in fact, when we speak about religion, we should ask the question, on what do we really speak? As oftentimes when we approach Prabhuji with questions, Prabhuji will reply by addressing our attention to the question. What is the question? What are we dealing with? And this is true to many topics that we meet in Prabhuji's contents again, and religion is also one of them. Prabhuji breaks down this religious phenomenon and reveals two aspects. The question is not if religion is good or bad, but what do we mean by religion? The question that we are exploring Prabhuji's answer to it today is, what is the greatest damage that religion has caused humanity? So the person who asks this question acknowledges the fact that Prabhuji has some criticism about the religious phenomenon, and he asked, what is the greatest damage? And for individuals who see religions as a negative phenomenon, as a phenomenon that causes damage to humanity, the answer that are most likely will follow such a question will be that it causes us wars, that it causes separation, division, violence, and things of this nature. Prabhuji's answer will be so much different. He will answer this question inside this article, and we will keep it to when we get to the answer, when Prabhuji speaks about really what he thinks is the main problem with the institutionalized religion, or the dogmatic messages that we receive through what we call as a general name religions, but in fact that are separated again to authentic religion and to, we can say, inauthentic religion, or dogmatic religion, or institutionalized religion. And the mental attitude towards the authentic religious phenomenon. So we have the authentic religious phenomenon, as we will see in Prabhuji's word that we will read, and we have the reaction of us, of the minds, of the egos, to this authentic religious phenomenon, and what have we created, and what is the problem with the thing that we have created out of mental speculations, out of mental tendencies, and not following the footsteps of the authentic religious phenomenon. Dear Prabhuji, I understand and mostly agree with your criticism of religion. Could you tell me, in your opinion, what is the greatest damage that religion has caused to humanity? I wish to clarify that I do not criticize religion, but institutionalized religion. There is only one true religion, while institutionalized religion has many faces. Because it is social and non-spiritual, there are as many religious isms as cultures: Templism, Churchism, Synagogism, and so on. So as we see, right from the beginning, we start with this important distinction. We find it clarified in Prabhuji's words because he delves into the problems of the institutionalized religion. He makes this clear distinction. There is religion and there is institutionalized religion. And these two are very different phenomena. They are not the same thing. And Prabhuji interestingly tells us, in fact, when we speak about religion, authentic religion, not institutionalized religion, there is only one religion. Religion is one, actually. It has different expressions, but religion is one, the authentic religion. And Prabhuji tells us when we speak about institutionalized religion, we will find many faces because these different expressions are according to cultures, according to social norms, according to times and circumstances, not necessarily keeping the same unity that exists in all religions in essence, the true religion, but sometimes probably deviating from the origin of the religion into the culture, into the social norms, into different habits, into different rituals or habits, while forgetting the origin, which is the true religion. Not only the origin, but also the goal, the main inspiration. For true religious individuals, what matters is the discovery of the true religion, of the one religion, and not to be ardent followers of some specific rituals and habits and specific actions and specific lists that we should do and not do when forgetting the essence and why do we do all these rituals and actions. So when we speak about the religion, the one religion, it's something that it's existing more in the essence of the religion and not in the external manifestation of the religion. That the external manifestation can vary according to cultures, but the essence of all the religions are in fact one. Religion belongs to the enlightened master, while organized religion belongs to the preachers, priests, rabbis, pandits, imams, and the modern satsangists. Authentic religion has flourished in people like Jesus, Buddha, Moses, Muhammad, Shankara, Krishna, Chaitanya, Lao Tse, or Guru Nanak. Religious isms belong to the Pope, the Vatican, the Chief Rabbinate of Israel, and the like. Jesus did not know about Christianity, Catholicism, or Protestantism. Moses never heard the term Judaism. Buddha never imagined that he would become the founder of Buddhism. So Prabhuji takes us deeper into the understanding. We spoke about this important distinction, and Prabhuji helps us to really identify and see it when he takes us into a close look into the origins of the religions that we found today. And he speaks about the individuals who Prabhuji calls masters, that are masters, who lived the true religion, the one religion, and that based on what they say, based on their life, based on their example, there was built a religion, a vast religion, very extensive phenomenon that we find today, that we witness today, that has a lot of followers, a lot of books and scriptures and laws and regulations and lists and habits and indications, etc. And Prabhuji says, let's separate. These individuals who lived the true religion, they were really religious. But they had nothing to do with this institution that was built on their teachings, based on their teachings. They did not know about it. They were not followers of an institutionalized religion. They were just individuals in whom this true religion flourished from their heart. And as Prabhuji tells us, in different places of the retroprogressive content, past contents, different individuals will express this true religion in a different way, in a unique way, in an individual way. They will not look the same. But still, they are tapping into this one religion, this unity. And these are not different faces, but different expressions of the same touch of the divine, of the same one religion on which Prabhuji speaks about. But we see this vast difference when we take a close look and see, here we speak about individual phenomenon of human beings. And here, when we speak about institutionalized religion, we speak about a vast phenomenon of the masses, of a lot of people. And this helps us to understand better this distinction again between the religious and the institutionalized religion that Prabhuji makes sure to clarify before he will address this question and answer what is the greatest damage that religion has caused to humanity. And in fact, Prabhuji does not answer what is the greatest damage that religion has caused to humanity, but of course, what is the greatest damage that institutionalized religion has caused to humanity, has caused to us. So let's read further. I consider myself religious, and hence my words seem subversive of institutionalized religion. True religion has always reacted against pseudo-spiritual businesses that list made-up gods and sell us imaginary plots of land for the afterlife like a paradise real estate agency. We see this clearly in Jesus' reaction to the merchants at the temple entrance in Jerusalem. So here Prabhuji tells us, true religion always reacted to the pseudo-religion, to the religion that has turned into a business, that sells us something, that promises us something, that convinces us of some dogmas in order to be followers of some ism, as Prabhuji calls it. Prabhuji says individuals in whom true religion has occurred will react naturally. And he gives this example of Jesus in the entrance of the temple of Jerusalem, who reacted harshly to the merchants who were in the temple of God and were busy with business. And this example of a master that reacts, it's something that we can see evident in many different cases. We can see in many cases that masters in fact created a different religion, or more correct to say, a new religion was created based on what they have said because they seem so different than the religion to which they reacted. But not necessarily they objected the essence of the religion to which they reacted, but they always reacted to the dogmatic religious approach, to the religiousness, to the minds, not to the genuine scriptures. We can see, of course, this example with Jesus, that he was a Jewish. He reacted to the certain approach, we can say, within Judaism, but not to the essence of Judaism. And based on it, a totally different religion was created based on what Jesus has taught and has said. What we have understood of Jesus, we cannot 100% say how accurate it is and how much we have deviated again from the genuine words of the Master. What Jesus in fact says is that the followers that he witnessed, for example, the merchants in the temple of God, in the entrance in the temple of Jerusalem, forgot the essence, forgot what the Torah speaks about. They were busy with business, with other things. And masters always remind us the true religion, the one religion, the essence, what is important. But based on these words, and this is something that we can see again and again and again in the history of religions, we create yet another religion, another set of dogmas, another institution, more lists, more rules of what to do and what not to do, more foundation for becoming superior on others, for controlling others, etc. We can see this in Buddhism. Buddha himself reacted to a certain approach that developed around India. He was a Hindu. He reacted to a certain approach that was to the Vedas, with the mental attitude with which individuals approach this wisdom, and he reminded the essence. And based on what Buddha has said, was created yet another religion, another institution, many more followers that try to imitate, that try to understand, and that created a lot of mental habits in order to follow the Buddha. But only genuine masters who experience in themselves the true religion can really direct us to the essence. It is very difficult for us minds to keep focused on the essence because of our mental attitude. And we can see in Buddhism itself, again and again and again, the same phenomenon. That masters come years after the Buddha and reminded again. This happened with Bodhidharma, that he said, well, all these followers that are following the Buddha, that are attempting to understand what the Buddha has said and follow his words, again forgot the essence. The Buddha does not speak about doing good actions and avoiding sin. This is not the point of his message. He speaks about realization of reality. When Bodhidharma arrived to China, he had an encounter with the Emperor Wu. And in this encounter, we see this meeting between the religion and the dogmatic religion, the institutionalized religion. Emperor Wu considered himself a very developed practitioner of Buddhism. He supported a lot of monks. He built a lot of temples. He was reading the words of the Buddha, and he was sure that he is very connected and understanding and, again, very advanced. And he was so happy to find a personality that can possibly approve this, and approach him with the question regarding his merits. Emperor Wu told Bodhidharma, I have built so many temples, I supported so many monks, what is my merit? And Bodhidharma replied, you have no merit whatsoever. The emperor was very perplexed, surprised, shocked, unhappy. And then he followed with another question. So what is holy? What is the point of being holy? And Bodhidharma replied, there is nothing like holy. Nothing is holy. And then Emperor Wu continued with the last question and the third, which was, so who are you? Perhaps he wanted to ask, aren't you a holy man? And Bodhidharma replied, I do not know. And with this powerful encounter of Bodhidharma, that was a very powerful master who brought a powerful message, revolutionary, a great reminder again of what the Buddha referred to. We see this fresh water that we always get in encounter with genuine masters who experience themselves directly through religion. They will never repeat words, but they will speak genuinely in an individual way about this uncompromising truth. And the reminder that finally, true religion does not teach us to be better human beings, to create a lot of good deeds, to enrich our self-image, but to wake up into the reality in which we transcend this egoic entity. Bodhidharma replied regarding himself, I do not know who I am. This is not what is important, this entity. But he directed all of us and Emperor Wu to the realization of reality, of our true essence. And this, to my humble understanding, is where Prabhuji directs us to when he speaks about the one religion, the true religion, and authentic masters, authentic individuals who really discovered this true religion and didn't only talk about it or preach it to others or did specific actions, but everything they said was a manifestation of this very experience, immediate experience, direct experience. Organized religion is born from fear and psychological need to find meaning and explanations for life's experiences. It offers an escape from confusion. It explains the incomprehensible and approaches the unattainable. The illusionary and conditioned mind can invent both religious ritualism and symbolism, but it cannot conceive of a sacred God. Prabhuji tells us the mind can invent symbolism, can invent ritualism, two aspects that we see manifesting in all religions, but it cannot touch the sacred God. It cannot experience the sacred God. In order to experience it, this true religion on which Prabhuji speaks about, the mind should be left aside, left behind. We cannot approach with the mind, with our mental speculation and thoughts and ideas and explanations, the truth inside the religion, the genuine religion. We can speak about religions, but not touch religion itself. What else Prabhuji tells us in this paragraph is that what created the organized religion and what motivates us to practice the organized religion is fear. Because in an organized religion, that we have symbolism, that we have ritualism, we get answers to all the questions. And these answers give us a lot of peace, a lot of comfort. But we don't speak about ultimate peace, but about peace for the mind. The mind gets pacified because it gets answers to its questions, to its suffering. It gets a why, it gets a how, it gets a why. And it can be less intimidated in this difficult, challenging human experience. This is the motivation, Prabhuji tells us, for us individuals to approach the organized religion. This is a psychological motivation. It has nothing to do with the spiritual, with the transcendental, with the sacred God, or with the authentic religion. Because all this is what speaks in the language of the mind. The mind understands the organized religion. This is the language of the mind. Fear, psychological difficulty, seeking comfort, seeking peace, seeking answers. Organized religion gives all the answers, and these two manage very well together. The mind and organized religion. We get answers. Prabhuji oftentimes say we get the address of God, why everything happened, how everything should happen, what is the goal, what is the problem. Everything is listed, clear. We don't need to think anymore. We don't need to experience anything anymore. We get all the answers, and the mind can be quiet and happy and free from fears. But, Prabhuji tells us, the authentic religion, this phenomenon that happened in the heart of Buddha, in the heart of Jesus, in the heart of Shankara, of masters, of individuals, cannot be accessed through this mind, through the fear, through these psychological mechanisms. They do not speak the same language. In order to tap into the true religion, we must approach with something in us that is not a mental attitude, but is through a true search for water, for the authentic religion or a sacred God. And I think that this understanding is fundamental in the understanding of the retroprogressive message. Prabhuji oftentimes clarifies that religion is never a solution to a problem. There is a lecture of Prabhuji, God is not a solution. If we find answers in a path that satisfy our mind, that satisfy our fears, give answers, this is not the genuine religion on which Prabhuji speaks about. True religion opens us to more inquiry, to more questioning, to more discovery, whereas answers close us. In answer, we have no longer what to search for because we have already understood. And Prabhuji oftentimes speaks about this state of questioning, of doubting, of exploration, of discovery, which is the state of a seeker. The seeker will constantly question and dig and explore and seek to experience directly, and not to get some answer that will satisfy his mind, but will not provide real answer to his soul, to his real thirst, to his genuine thirst. And we can find this religion that is a solution to the fears in different philosophers, such as Karl Marx, who said that religion is the opium to the masses, right? That it soothes us. Prabhuji says similarly, but not the religious phenomenon in its entirety. Prabhuji reminds us, let's seek for what is true within religions and remember that the basis of all these religions are the sacred God, are genuine experiences. So we can try to find in these fountains of wisdom and devotion, we can find a path into the sacred God, into this one religion, if we dig deep enough. Nevertheless, we should be aware of the problematic aspect of the dogmatism and of the organized religion that can project to us problematic messages that can block our access to this genuine religion. And now in the word that we are going to read now, we will find really the answer that we already have given a hint regarding it to the question, what is really the greatest damage that religion has caused to humanity, or again more correctly to that organized religion has caused to humanity? And Prabhuji says the greatest damage is that it confuses us and it blocks us from the true religion to the true religion. Because the organized religion is a covering that confuses us, that keeps us in the mental realm, and that doesn't allow us, or that is favorable of our forgetfulness of the true religion. We need to have a lot of courage, a lot of deepening, a lot of contemplation, intelligence, sensitivity, to dig within the religion and find this route that can lead us to the source from which it came. It exists in all the religions, but it's covered by so much institutionalized religion that we can miss it. And this is, Prabhuji tells us, the greatest damage. For Prabhuji, I think that we can say the highest expression of a human being, the highest value of a human being, is the discovery of who he is, of who she is, of their essence. I think that it will be correct to say it about Prabhuji. This is at least my understanding. This is the most important thing that we can aspire to in this human experience. Therefore, the worst thing that can happen is anything that prevents from us this important, fundamental experience of us human beings. Anything that is a hindrance on our path to discover who we are is a major problem. More than any problem that exists on the surface in the world of names and forms that is impacting us as images on this world of names and forms. The most important thing is our discovery, and therefore the most important damage or significant damage is the blockage, or what prevents us from accessing this clarity about our aspiration, about our discovery, and about the path. So let's read. Obstructing humanity's access to authentic religion has been the greatest damage institutionalized religion has caused. It has been more interested in preserving the organization than facilitating individual spiritual development. Institutional interests have prevailed over followers' benefits. So here Prabhuji tells us this is the greatest damage, and he explains why does it happen. And Prabhuji tells us when there is an institution, a big organization, the agenda the interest of this organization, of this institution, becomes primary, and the benefit of the individuals becomes secondary. And this is a big, big problem. Let's go back to Prabhuji's explanation about the distinction between the religion and the organized religion. Religions are a phenomenon that happens in individuals. What is important is the individual experience. This is why it is major, it is of great significance that any genuine spiritual path, or it is evident in every genuine path, and it is very significant for every path that aspires to be genuine, that it will facilitate the space for the individual to grow in an individual way, without too much dogmatic messages, too much institutional messages that suppress the individual growth. True religion springs from individuality, and therefore individuals must have room within every, again, religious path to grow in an individual way, in a unique way. They can receive inspirations from the religion, from holy scriptures, beautiful scriptures, wise scriptures, inspirational scriptures. They can receive a lot of inspiration from enlightened masters, from their words, from their life, from their example. But in order for this religious phenomenon, in order that this religious phenomenon will occur in the heart of the individuals, they must find their own unique and individual path. It cannot be that all practitioners will look all the same. If we speak about a genuine religious experiences, individuals will vary. They can share a lot of things in common, and still the expression will be different, will be unique, will be individual. So Prabhuji reminds us again here, when he speaks about the greatest damage, that the attention must be on the individual. Again, he speaks about it when he speaks about the examples of the manifestation of the true religion in Krishna, in Buddha, in Shankara, in Lao Tse, in Mahavira, etc. And this is also relevant when he speaks about the practitioners, about us. We must have some room, some space for our individual development within the religion. When there is a big institution with a lot of rules and regulations and messages, it's impossible that the indications will be addressed to each individual in an individual manner that can create for him the favorable conditions for his or her individual growth and unique growth. When we look at words of masters, we will see that they were very flexible. We will see that they responded differently to different individuals according to time, to circumstances. They were never dogmatic. When we look at organized religions, oftentimes we see the same rules, the same demands, the same indications to each and every individual without much considerations of a specific situation, of specific circumstances. Institutionalized religion cannot address individuals. When we receive messages as masses, as many peoples, we cannot get particular advice that will fit us exactly. The Spirit can give us inspiration. Words of masters can always give us inspirations, but specific indications might be problematic for our individual, again, growth. This is my understanding of Prabhuji's words. All organized religions present themselves as the only true religion. For centuries, they have all tried to deceive humanity by declaring that they own the copyright on the Word of God. By insisting that they possess the truth, they have contributed to the conditioning of millions of people. By condemning any attempt to question their dogmas, these isms have extinguished believers' ability to investigate and examine. They have kept their adherents on the surface by using all kinds of ruses such as doubt is spiritual weakness, thinking is pointless, and investigating is unnecessary. Throughout history, these isms have paralyzed followers' faculty of thought and promoted blind fanaticism. They have convinced them that seeking is futile and have kept them ignorant about themselves. Dogmas have made idiots of the masses. Instead of being axiomatic tools, they have become an end in themselves. Cheap religiosity has for centuries proclaimed to have answers to all questions. It has lacked the humility to accept and revere life's mystery. It does not have enough honesty to publicly admit that not all our questions can be answered. Science has been more honest and accepted that it lacks explanations to some mysteries. Organized religiosity has impeded any kind of spiritual evolution. One of its strategies has been to disseminate prefabricated arguments. From a young age, it trains and indoctrinates us. It even gives us answers to questions we have not yet formulated. Before we even question the existence of God, it gives us his address, inclinations, desires, and demands. So we go further with Prabhuji into the exploration of this phenomenon of the organized religion, of the religiosity as Prabhuji calls it here in the words that we've just read. The problem with this phenomenon is that it prevents us again from the genuine search and the genuine discovery. What Prabhuji tells us, what identifies this organized religion, is that all of these, all the organized religions, claim to have all the answers. In all of them, we can find the narrative that they are the best religion, the only religion, the original religion, the favorite religion. We should follow this particular religion and reject other religions. This is of major importance, usually in these preaching messages that we get. Why we particularly need to follow this particular religion and not any other religion, because all the answers exist only in my religion, in this particular religion. All of these religions gives us a lot of answers, and Prabhuji beautifully tells us before we even ask, we get answers, which is very problematic. The questioning is so important. The thirst is so important. Before we find the water, we need to discover that we are thirsting for something, that we're seeking something. If we get answers before we question, this can put off our genuine seeking and thirst and search. And Prabhuji tells us all these answers that again our minds receive are blocking our investigation and our open process, as we said before. Answers close us because there's no further discussion after all the answers are given. We already got to the end. And Prabhuji says this truth, instead of being axiomatic truth, which means this is an axioma from which we can build and test and try and check and investigate. It's an axioma. It's not an ultimate truth. It's not an end. It's not the goal. The goal is the exploration, is the investigation of us individuals. We can take these beautiful truths as axiomas to go deep into them, to investigate them, to check if they really apply to us, but not just to accept them as ends, as final answers, and stop questioning and stop investigating, which means stop our process, stop our development. We discover through the questioning, we discover through the trial and error, through our doubts, through our questioning. This is where we will discover, and not by getting answers that are in the level again of the mind, of the concept, of the ideas, and not of immediate discovery of us, direct discovery of ourselves. Inside Krishna consciousness, example of one of the religions, and I think as probably all other examples or as many other examples, we can find both aspects on which Prabhuji talks about. We can find the organized religion the institutional religion, the religiosity, and we can find the authentic religion, the essence from which it came to where it takes us. And inside Krishna consciousness teachings, we hear about 3 levels of devotees. That I think these levels of devotees explain to us or refer to what Prabhuji speaks to us about in these words. So there is the level of the Kanishta Adhikari, the neophyte devotee who just start the path. There is the level of the Madhyama Adhikari, more advanced devotee, but not yet realized, not yet in direct contact with the authentic religion. And there is the Uttama Adhikari. The Uttama Adhikari is one who experiences the sacred God, the true religion, this one religion, and manifests it in his actions, in his vision, in his words. And in this level, what we learn is, beautifully, that the Kanishta Adhikari, the neophyte, the beginner, the one who just started the path, he thinks that my God is the best. He thinks that God exists in the temple, really in the deity, this is God and nowhere else, and he does separation. While the Uttama Adhikari, the most advanced devotee, or the one who really experiences the true religion, the master on which Prabhuji speaks about, and Prabhuji speaks about masters, he speaks about the Uttama Adhikari, one who speaks from his very experience, from his individual experience, and not based on words of others who have experienced, but directly from his own or her own experience. What we see in the level of the Uttama Adhikari is that he sees no distinction between religions. He sees no distinctions between individuals. He does not see higher or lower, but he sees the essence of all of us human beings, which is the true religion. And I think what is interesting is that we can see, as we mentioned previously, that inside the religion, inside the teachings, inside the preaching, we find what Prabhuji tells us in this article. This is just one example, but there are so many others, and we can find them in all the religions. We can read and connect to the words of the masters, genuine words of the Upanishads, of the masters that spoke to us from their experience. And we can identify that they do not speak to us about institutions, about habits, about rituals, about norms, about being better than others, about succeeding in something. But they always speak to us about the essence, the reality. And inside all religions, we can also see the dogmatism of us minds that naturally, as egos, we build on based on the words of the masters. So our effort, I believe, as whoever considers themselves seekers, is to isolate, is to separate, and to keep focusing on the essence, on what is really the essence to which we are led in these words of the masters, and not to be deviated by the society, by the habits, by the expectations of the society, by the norms, by our own expectations or desires to be better than others, etc., etc., etc. To keep on isolating, separating, and recognizing this true religion on which Prabhuji talks about, into which we aspire as a spiritual seekers, we can say, or individuals who walk on this retroprogressive path and aspire for their realization of their true nature. So we can find inspiration, as we find in the explanation about the levels of devotees, inside the religions that remind us. This explanation in itself reminds us, if you think that your religion is the best and better than others, this is the level of the Kanishta Adhikari. You are a beginner. It's okay, but you need to advance step by step, following more and more, with more and more devotion and contemplation and intelligence and practice and interiorization, you can advance in this process towards more and more purity of thought, purity of experience, of understanding of what it is really about. The level that you think that I have the answers and my religion is the best, etc., and I have all the answers, this is a very basic level, very beginner's level. But it's not our aspiration as individuals who aspire to be truly religious beings. Prabhuji considers himself, we see in his word, as a religious individual. And of course we understand that in this Prabhuji of course refers to someone who has a relationship with the divine, who loves the divine, but in a unique and individual way that comes from the depths of his being and not based on some words of other individuals with blind following and without realization or understanding. And of course, I think by this Prabhuji also gives us inspiration and possibly recommendation to aspire for this path, to walk toward this path of our, again, individual discovery and of the discovery of the sacred God, of the authentic religion, of the one religion that exists in all religions in their essence and that exists in all individuals in their essence, as masters tell us. On the other hand, authentic religion is not exclusive but inclusive. It motivates and supports individuals in their search for truth. Its aim is to inspire questioning and exploration. It manifests when we transcend the limits of the mind and become free from the conditioning that ensnares us. It is not psychological as it does not belong to the domain of the mind. It is accessed through observation, not faith, beliefs, or superstitions. It is reached by looking beyond any tradition or custom. What is truly sacred can only happen when fear is overcome, the mind is silenced, and we as egoic phenomena are transcended. So after we explored the organized religion, the religiosity, now Prabhuji sheds light on the authentic religion phenomenon and reminds us it is not mental, it is not psychological, it has nothing to do with this level. If our religion consoles us, gives us peace of mind, solves our conflict by giving us some answer, this is not what we talk about when we refer to the authentic religion. The authentic religion addresses aspects of us that are transcendental to the mind, that have nothing to do with the mind. What we seek to in true religion is a transformative experience, a fundamental experience, not some comfort, not some peace in life, but it got to be some revolution in our lives, because all our identification is going to be shaken. All our previous conceptions are going to be shaken while we tap into the authentic experience of the true religion. And I think that by this focus, by this reminder that Prabhuji reminds us, it is not mental, it is not psychological. It keeps us awake, it keeps us aware, and gives us tools to remember every time we forget why we are here. What is the aspiration of the true seeker? What are really the heights that human beings can access if they aspire high enough? That we can aspire probably following Prabhuji's footsteps. Prabhuji, as we can see evident in this article, and we can see evident in his own life, seeked for his complete realization, complete establishment in his real essence, in who he really is. Then from there, he could speak, he could dance, he could do different actions, he could associate with individuals who consider themselves his disciples and share with them whatever he has. But the most significant, transformative was to discover his true essence, as we see in the example of the Buddha, who did not compromise until he knew that he speaks from his own truth, from an individual realization of the true religion. And this is, I think, our guidance in this way or another, in any of the content of the retroprogressive path. To not compromise, to not be satisfied with answers who are answers of other individuals, even if they are enlightened beings. The retroprogressive message encourages us to not stop, to not be satisfied, to not let the mind be silenced until we directly discover our own authentic answers as individuals. God is not the answer, but the clearing of all questions. In Hebrew, the word for answers is tshuva, or returning to God. Truth is experienced in the quiet that remains when mental activity ceases. The mystery of existence is revealed when innocent silence is the only answer. The tender silence that answers the question, "Do you love me?" A silence that makes everything so obvious that the question fades away. In the Bible, it is described as kol dmama daka, or a voice of delicate silence. And behold, the Lord passes by, and a great and strong wind destroys the mountains, and broke in pieces the rocks before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. And after the wind, an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire, a still small voice. Kings 1:19, 11, 12. And after we have learned from Prabhuji that religions do not give us answer, do not console us, do not solve any problem that we have in our lives. They don't aspire to solve problems. They don't aspire to close us with ready-made answers, with determinations. They want us doubting, they want us questioning, they want us investigating and exploring. Now we get yet some relief. Religions do give us answers, as we hear now from Prabhuji's words, but not answers that satisfy the mind, that give some temporary relief to discomfort. But they nourish the source of the questions, which is the mind itself. Prabhuji tells us, ultimately, the religion is the answer. It's not a set of mental answers to set of mental questions, but it is the answer to all our questioning. But not an answer that puts them off, that distinguish the answers, but an answer that provides a silence that leaves us with no need to question, because the mind is no longer existing. Our questioning comes from the perplexed mind, from our constant anxiety, because we seek, as we learn in many other classes, we seek happiness, we escape pain, we are uncomfortable, we seek a solution as egoic entities. The silence on which Prabhuji speaks about, as it appears, is the answer itself, and in this silence God exists. As we saw in the words of the Torah, God is not in the elements, is not in the earthquake, is not in the fire. He is in the silence that is after all the manifestations, all the manifestation that can be perceived in this level of names and forms. In the very silence, God exists himself. And this is the answer. So ultimately, when we seek the true religion, we do seek an answer. But not an answer that will be some temporary relief again to our difficulty in life, but an answer that will provide nourishment to our thirst that originate because we are not situated in the answer. In other words, the reason that we are questioning, that we are suffering, that we are not comfortable, is not because of all the reasons that we think. It's not because of the boss or the husband or the wife or the children or because this situation or another situation. It's because we are not established in our reality. And to this difficulty, religions do give answer because they direct us, they remind us, they take us to who we really are if we follow the footsteps of these individuals that were established in who they really are. So we do get peace and answer, but an answer not to the questions, but to the foundational state in which we exist as egoic entities, to the foundational identification that we have as egoic entity, which gives rise to so many questions. Maybe one of these nights you will raise your questions to the sky, and the blinking stars will embrace you with their deafening and lively silence. Such silence shouting from the depths of existence will eclipse your enigmas. Perhaps only then shall you feel a caress of truth. Jai Prabhuji.